All right, we're going live now. We're up to 30, so
Oh, yeah. So, but I see 6. Like, I don't see like everybody.
yeah, you get
But
like
when you'll shrink down, right?
yeah.
Somebody doesn't hear, she says. Ellen Miller from To Everyone She Can't Hear.
All right. I will work on troubleshooting with Eileen while we get started here.
I can start
Yeah.
right now. All right. Hi, everyone. Wave at me so I know you hear me. Hello. Hi. Okay. Welcome. I don't know if you know my name or we've been introduced. You probably know it's Psychic Cyndee. And I am I hope I'm not screaming, but I do want to make sure everybody hears me. I am a full trance medium and a clairvoyant. And I was just discussing with Jonathan how it's something that I've been doing professionally for about 30, 35 years. So it's taken a lot of turns, and I've done a lot of different, between missing children and crossing over and different aspects of healing. But this lecture, which is library style, is going to be focused on when someone dies. I've done a lot of presentations at the library that have to do with our spirit guides and how we connect to our own higher self and how we get in tune with our own spirit guides and all of those things. This is primarily going to focus a half an hour to 40 minutes, probably more of a half hour, on all those topics or all those issues. And then we're going to unmute your microphones, and we're specifically going to take questions from you. And I'm going to channel whether it's your father or your mother. And we're not focusing on spirit guides on this at all, but we'll talk to people who have crossed over. So it'll just be a little introduction to what happens when you cross over. And so our society is so driven, I think, or inundated with the idea of fear. So, spirits are, you talk to the dead, and things like that. And doesn't that get creepy? And I think it's because the Hollywood dramatization of the spirits. So right away, if you've talked to a lot of different people, years ago, spirits were bad. There wasn't really a good spirit. If someone that crossed over decided to stay in spirit form and would move something in the house, or you would sense a presence, or, you really couldn't necessarily feel them. You might sense like something cold. You walk through a room and you feel a coldness that comes over you. And that means that there's a spirit there. So spirits and people who have crossed over primarily used to have that connection to forbidden, dangerous, taboo. And I think a lot of that is not just Hollywood, but some of our religion has taught us, not to commune with the dead or certain things. But I think now, because the society has shifted, people are more open to the fact that spirits are us. Every single one of you right now, if time is not absolute, right? Today, tomorrow, now. So we're in a temporary, just for maybe 80 years, if we're that lucky, a temporary reality. We're in this body, and that's a flash. And then all of a sudden, if you think about it, every single one of us is a spirit. We're no longer in this physical body. And yet we get, like horses have these blinders, and this is the earth, and this is the way it is. And all that is like, don't go there because it's scary, right? And so if you think about, people will say to me, all right, my mother crossed over, and they'll call me and they'll literally say, well, she crossed over Friday. How long do we have to wait? And to go to someone outside of the family, unless they're on a very high frequency, there might be certain, I wouldn't say rules as in time and the time frame, but there are a couple rules that you have to kind of use. One is it's directly related to how they crossed over. So if you take someone who was 35 years old. And they went to work and everything's normal, and they got hit by a truck and bam, they're dead. They are experiencing something called sudden shock. And so they may be stuck. They may need to talk to you or to come back to you. They may not have completely crossed over. And so in that case, sometimes you may find that you're not really able to talk to them, but other times you may find out that they need energy. They need to connect. You may see that, someone that crossed over may have had some type of dementia. They may have had a lot of chemicals that they were on, medicine, chemotherapy. So the house that they were in, right? So they died in the bedroom and they just crossed over. But when you walk into the bedroom, you realize they're still there. You know that they went to sleep, but they don't really know where they are. And so the idea, or the point that I was making about when do you talk to them? Communication versus they need help. Are they stuck? No one is stuck forever. There's no such thing as now you're going to be this old man is stuck in this house forever and he'll never, be set free. But in all actuality, unless you're planning on crossing over and you've actually focused into the light, there's transition. And that's why there's a little bit of a waiting period. The same thing happens when some people cross over, is after a few days, 95% of the time. And that's why prayer and ritual and sending light and praying for the dead and protecting the spirit, 95% of the time, the spirit is at the funeral and you can see them and you can sense them. And that is almost always, goes without saying. And even if they are weak when they cross over, even if their mental facilities are they may think they're sleeping, they may not know that they've died. And I find a lot of times at the funeral, when everyone is there praying and doing the ritual and doing the prayers and lighting candles and calling in for the angels and the guides, is when many of them wake up and realize that's the boost they need to cross over. So there's a lot of times where someone will call me and say, so my uncle just died. How long do I have to wait to try to communicate with them? And once again, it really depends on the level of communication that you're looking to make. So I wanted to do this. First of all, I wanted to say that for this lecture, for this audience, I'm going to give away, and I posted that somewhere, a bottle of one of my third eye essential oil blends that I make. So you can text if you want. I'll give you the number again, but it's 845-537-1279. I'll say it again in case you didn't have a pen. 845-537-1279. And as the texts come in, I'll just write down a number and I'll just pick it and I'll just send it to you, free shipping. The other thing is that because we're going to start, and I will take questions and I will channel like I did on the radio, we'll just do it. But because this seminar or lecture is rather short, and when I do them in person, they're 2 hours or maybe 3 hours. So after I get off the air here, I will make myself available by phone through text, and then we can talk, in person, free of charge till 8 p.m. I won't get to everybody, but when I do a lecture seminar, there's 150 people in the room. I can't get to everybody, and that's the nature of it. So that will be the same phone number that you can text, 845-537-1279. And when we go off the air, don't call me, please. Text me, and I will go down the line and I will try to give you 10 or 15 minutes, as much as I can, till 8 p.m. Okay, now back to what we were talking about in reference to spirits get stuck, And why are they still in the house? I can't see, all 50 of you, honestly, but I can see a bunch of you. So if I ask a question or if I talk, you can nod your head if you're in agreement, or that I can make some kind of a contact. Have you ever walked into a house and felt like there was a spirit there? And you don't know what to do? Do you talk to it, him, her? Do you tell it to leave? Do you invite it in? How does it feel, right? Well, right now, this is 2021. And energetically, you'll hear people say this, and they use terms, like you'll hear the term, the veil, right? And the veil is thinning. And there's more spirits on this side than there used to be. Or we can see them on that side. And so we're thinking in terms of this side and that side, where it's from our perspective, right? So energetically, sometimes the essence of a spirit, their energy stays, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're stuck in that place and they're not free to move on, right? Has anybody ever had anything move? Any object move? They heard something that they know was spirit, right? Now, what I say from the beginning about the first thing would be, what is that? How do you process it, right? I can remember a story because I hear voices and I didn't want to tell people because obviously, I went to Catholic schools for 12 years and they didn't teach me hearing voices. It just wasn't in the curriculum. And I wasn't hearing voices in here. Hi, Kathy. How are you? I wasn't hearing voices in here, but I would hear a voice there and I'd be alone. So I kind of kept it to myself. So energetically, I can remember one night, I don't know where it came from or why, I just was getting ready to go to sleep, and very loud and very quietly I said, I want to hear your voice. And then I let go of it. And as I was starting to fall asleep, right here, I heard a man go, what is it you want me to say? Just crystal clear, calm, but it's your parasympathetic nervous system. It doesn't know what to do with that. I wasn't afraid, but I couldn't stop shaking. I mean, I got under the covers like this and I was like, okay, I'm okay, I'm okay. So if you think about it, it doesn't mean that there aren't spirits around everywhere. It doesn't mean that spirits aren't in our space. It doesn't mean if your husband crossed over and you feel like he's gone forever because you're not seeing him, or you're not necessarily smelling his cologne or feeling him like other people do. It doesn't necessarily mean that he's not with you or you can't connect to him. It just means that your energy system is just not tuned up to be able to connect. So the idea of isolated spirit encounters is it's more an idea of being able to communicate without fear. So the point that I'm making is fear blocks us. And so, I mean, I've had things jump off the table. I've had clients in my office, and I can tell you, I could pick 100 clients. Everything's always confidential. They might come forward, though, if I ask them, but I could pick 100 people without any problem that can say to you, well, we were in the middle of doing a session and the pillow went off the couch. Why? But it did. Or something moved, or the lights went on and off. And for me, I'm used to it, but I'm like I was telling him, I'm not going to announce how old I am, but I've been doing this for such a long time. And yet I'm going to say 20 years ago, I still did that. I had a very, very thin nervous system and I'd jump, and so your friends on the other side, they want to come to you in your dreams first. They want to come to you in the nighttime. Okay, so quickly, we'll get back to that and we'll take all your questions and we'll try to communicate with some of your loved ones and just do readings like normal. But some of the basic information that I was going to cover in this library style seminar has to do with actually crossing over. One of the big questions I get is that I love my brother so much. And when he crossed over, I felt him around me. But if he reincarnates, then I'm never going to see him again. And that's a very, very common question. And it's something that people get confused about. Very often I have clients say to me, I don't want them to reincarnate because then I'm going to lose them. And the first thing you want to say to someone is this. Sometimes when a spirit crosses over, they do feel like they've disappeared for a month or even longer. It's like you start beating yourself over the head and pulling your hair out because you feel like, you can't communicate with them. They're just gone. And they may be, but it's not forever. It means they went to sleep. And for whatever reason, on the other side, their spirit guides are taking them. They're healing them. They're vibrating a higher frequency. They're opening up. They're learning new things. They go to sleep. They no longer need a physical body, but they've transitioned into a mental body. And in that space, it's very similar to when you dream at night. You don't need your body. And when you fear something in your dream, it may wake you up. But in general, you interact and you feel, but you don't feel with the nervous system that you feel with when you're awake. So when they cross over and they go into the mental reality, and that's something I want to cover, is there's 3 basic stages of the Bardel. And the Bardel is literally the space between bodies. It's that intermediary space that you go into, right? So when you go into the Bardel, you go into the mind, right? And so there's something that happens as you start to heal and transition. And it means that you can be in 2 places at the same time. It's a hard concept, but if you think about the all, right? When your mother crosses over and she chooses to reincarnate, it means that part of her has gone on to experience other things. But it doesn't mean the personality dies. That person that she was will never die. It will expand, it will change, but it's always there. And that's something that's the hardest part of the three stages of death. The dying, the first stage of dying and letting go of the cord, that is the one most difficult thing for us here. And I can say, even though I've been professional for 30 years, that when my dad died, which was this past lockdown, everything that I know, everything that I've witnessed, I could see him at the funeral. I could see his blue eyes standing there. And I know that knowing where they are, knowing they crossed over, knowing that they're with loved ones, it doesn't make it any easier for us to let them go. There's times I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm like, I don't care. I just want you on the couch watching the Yankees. We're here, but we have to know where they are. They're in a good place. They're in a very good place. Now, these are a couple of the other things I promised to cover before we move forward. Who comes for you when you cross over? And that's something that people always say to me. Parents will say to me, I did a lot of time working with parents whose children have crossed over, and they need to know that when it's their time, their children will be waiting for them. And our loved ones do come back for us, the people that we were the closest to. I had this happen the other day, and once again, confidential, but I had a woman who had a horrible relationship with her mother. And she wanted to reassure her that when she crossed over, she'd never see her mother again. And I've had you name it. There's different aspects, but we're protected in the sense that the loved ones that come to us when we cross over to help us cross over are only the ones that we have an affinity with, that we're connected to, that love us. We're protected. And anything of the darkness will not connect to us when we first cross over. There was a couple other things that, as the clock ticks, there were a couple other things that were classified as theory that we were going to do. And let me think, what were they? As far as crossing over, karma and the higher self. So what I was saying was that when people cross over, we know, and maybe I take for granted, so this is important, we know that we have a higher self. It's a higher level of our own consciousness. It's if we're the little terminals, it's the internet of our being. It's like connected to the all encompassing, right? Before we incarnated into this body, we decided, our higher self, and we decided who we wanted to meet and what lessons or experiences. It's not, we tend to think of punishment and reward, and that's really more of a humanistic type of a thing. But we've decided, our higher level consciousness decided what experiences, and I use the word because this is an experiential reality. We decided who. So sometimes we'll get into, did that person know they were going to die before they did? And I can tell you that in the case of losing children, and this is one of the hardest things I spent, I think, the first 10 years of my life, of my work, parents and children, and parents who lost children and missing children, and it was my main focus. And I'm going to say that many of the children that were born and crossed over within the first 7-8 years of their life decided that it was going to be a short trip. For whatever reason, it was part of their own, we make our own decisions about certain things, and other things are not necessarily determined in that manner. So sometimes people are afraid that when they cross over, they're going to get, amnesia. They're never going to know who they were. Their body's going to die. There's a lot of reasons why spirits come to you. Sometimes when it's done, I have a point. I'm just trying to make sure I follow it with the course. There's a lot of times when a spirit is visiting you, it's not necessarily because they need to come through. They can watch you. They know you're okay. A lot of times when spirits come through to show you they're still there, it's a gift for you to know that, you know what, you may be afraid that when you cross over, that's it. And they're there to say that not much has changed. I always use this example. If your grandmother couldn't give you the lottery tickets when she was here, really good chance when she crosses over, she still can't. They don't change that much. They move on and they move forward. We're getting to the, let me check something. I also wanted to put it out there, and I know there's chats, there's about 8 messages there, whatever there, that I gave you the number 845-537-1279. I can look at that and just pick people because I don't see everybody. I don't see the 50 people here, but I can answer questions that way, or we will unmute people and I will be able to start to do readings. In reference to everything that I wanted to teach about in this short night about crossing over and who comes for you. A lot of times, this is a good thing, that a lot of times when certain things happen before a person is going to die, and I've seen it myself, and I know a lot of you have. Someone is in a hospital, right? they're almost incoherent. They make no sense. They're fading, right? And then all of a sudden they sit up and they talk to you like there's nothing wrong with them. They're crystal clear, they're lucid, and then they die. And that moment is their higher self, the higher self I was referring to before. That's the higher self coming through. It's like overriding, when you think of the computer or you can override the programming. That energy, which is your connection to God and your higher self and spirit, I'm very handsy, is coming through, and energy, angelic energy, God energy, is allowing that weak body that is at the verge of death to be able to speak and touch you and make peace and say goodbye. And I get chills as I say it, but I've witnessed it. And I know a lot of people have witnessed it, where it is a metaphysical thing that it goes beyond. It didn't make any sense. And so they're allowing you to see what you need to see. There's a lot of things like that happen with spirit. I'm being pulled out a little bit, and maybe there's a lot of questions. Maybe there's something, maybe I can continue the lecture as it ties into a question. I was telling someone how we do the room and I start talking with the lecture. I just go to people. I don't know what I'm going to say. And as I start to channel and tell you things, I'm hearing it for the first time. And so it's kind of like a running with the mic. So I'm ready to run with the mic, but we have to kind of do it this way. So we're getting to that place. And I have I have a question. Okay. I got 100 people here, but I have a lot. I have a question. I have a question. I have a question. I have all numbers. I don't have a lot of names. Hi, Alan. How can I help you? There's Alan. Hello.
There's two Allens. That's the only thing.
Which Alan wanted me to channel? Do you have a question? Maybe it's the other Alan.
Just the right Alan, I hope so.
Hi, how are you?
Okay. My mom passed away about 3 years ago.
What's with the washing machine? I can sense her energy. There's a washing machine and there's vibrations and there's something around that space that I feel like did she give you a sign, or is there some reason where there's some connection with her in that?
I used to be in the washing machine business.
Okay. So she's telling me she wants me to show you that washing machines are you, my son, my daughter. I love you. And I can feel her. She's like, just tell him that. That's all we have to do. That she's around. Oh, she's crying and she's showing me her hands. I'm like looking at her hands. I don't know what did she have a problem with her hands?
She had
arthritis, and she's going like this. Look at my fingers move. Look at my fingers move. I'm healed. Like she's showing me her hands and she's saying, I'm okay. I'm okay. You may not have had a question, but she wanted to talk to you. And that's why I said, if I use the phone, and because I see a smidgen of the 50 people there, that I can save time, because all of a sudden we run out. She wants you to know that she's very grateful. She's talking about living on a modest income. Did you make sacrifices to take care of her? Were there sacrifices made personal?
Some, yeah, later on, I guess.
Yeah, she's saying that none of the sacrifices, how she's putting it, were unappreciated. And you made some hard decisions, and you could have made them in one way, but you seem to make them in another to take care of her. And so she's saying you were wrestling with decisions when she was.
Oh, the decision was that we had to unplug the life support. It was very hard, but it was her request even before, she had a stroke, and it was just going downhill. So, wow.
She's saying, I'm feeling her, and she's saying that hard decisions, not knowing what to do, but you did what you had to do. You had some reservations about
Oh, yeah.
acting on her behalf,
Yeah.
but ultimately she's saying you did the right thing. She knows you had to make that hard decision, but you did what she needed. And she's still saying, look, I'm free. I'm okay. Now I don't even understand it. It's kind of a weird thing. She's saying, don't drink the poison. And I know that must be like symbolic or a metaphor. I don't know how to process. Don't drink the poison. I don't know if no, it's not that. It's like, who did she know that drank alcohol a lot? Excess. I'm not pointing the finger at anybody. She's saying it not like admonishing or, scolding. She's laughing a little bit. She's going, don't drink the poison. But I feel like it's alcohol or some type of I don't know.
I started drinking hard cider more recently in life. I can't imagine that's what she's referring to. Who knows?
Oh, she's just talking and saying it in that manner. And I don't know if I even want to think of the poison as crossing over. It's just the way it's coming through. But let me I didn't mean it. It wasn't serious. It was don't drink too much poison.
Okay.
So she's saying it that. Do you have, wait. What's with the kidneys? And it's a health thing, but it's not a serious concern. But it's just something about like the body and too much toxins. Like don't.
Got it.
That's what it is. She means it literally, but it's not about, oh, the alcohol's bad. It's about the body processing it. That's what she's talking about. She's just saying, light-handed, not with a heavy hand, light hands, flushing things out. I don't want to be rude. I have about a lot of people that have questions. I gave out my number, like I do also, I have a private, this is what I do for a living. I have a private office and I do it like this too. And I make appointments by Skype or Zoom. So it's 845-537-1279. And I can continue. I saw a whole bunch of people in chat, but let me pick somebody else. I hope that helps you. Thank you. Let's see. All right, who's this? Someone said, okay, who said, and it was on the chat, I was following it. My father visits, you can re-chat and I'll see your name if you hear me. My father visits me every night. I wanted to address that. Someone said my father, it showed up right here.
I believe it's Sue Ann. I'm going to get to her.
Okay.
Hi, yes, my father passed away in 2001.
Okay.
And in my dreams every night he comes. He doesn't really speak. He's just there. I see him as clear as day. As like I could be sitting next to him, talking to him, and I'm always in my dreams. We're always kind of moving. I'm always trying to get people packing, ready to go, that kind of thing. And my father is always in my dream.
Who's the balding man that he would also connect to?
That would, it could be my husband.
Balding, right?
Yes.
But not completely.
Yes.
He's laughing a little bit. It's like it's a tongue in cheek, and he's going, and you got to keep an eye on him too. So did he tease him a little bit, or did he, he's pointing to him and he's just saying he's watching everybody, but he's saying you got to keep an eye on him.
Yes.
Just in jest, not spying him.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that where do you ever farm at all? Or did he ever
I don't have a farm. My husband's parents do.
Okay, all right. There's another spirit that's also around the balding gentleman, and they're talking about the farm and the farming. And so you see your father, And he definitely comes through, and he's happy, he's at peace. But he's also telling me that he meets other spirits, he sees them in around the balding man, and he's saying they come from the farm. So did your husband have family that's crossed over that was?
Yes. He's had many relatives that have passed away that had farms, but recently a very good friend, my husband's one of his best friends, had passed away a couple of years ago. And he had a horse farm and he had some horses, and they used to spend a lot of time together.
I feel that that's what they're trying to show me, that when they were saying that, they also were saying that, and that there's someone that feels a very peaceful energy when he's around your husband, and your husband thinks about him often.
Yes, he does.
And
Yes, he does.
And they're saying that he does visit him, and that he's around him, and that he may not be as open, or he may not connect to him consciously, but to let him know, he's like slapping him right here on the shoulder. And he's like, what's up? I'm here. Like, he wants him to know he's there. Nothing is required of him. Doesn't have to have a conversation, but he just wants him to know that he knows he's thinking about him. He knows he remembers him, and that he appreciates the love and the friendship.
Absolutely.
And I
Great.
think that's why they had to say balded gentleman, because it was straight for him. So
Yes.
your father and you may have seemed like two different people when you were on the planet, but you're very kindred in spirit.
Yes.
And so energetically, excuse me, it's very easy for him to come to you. And what is he saying? He wished there's something about the timing of his passing. Or I don't know why I'm outside by a tree. I just started seeing myself outside by a tree, like hanging. How would I put this? Before he crossed over, was there any indication that he was going to leave?
I think he knew.
But the timing wasn't, that you weren't planning on it literally, right?
No, I was completely in shock, and so was everyone else in my
That's
family.
what he's saying. That's what he's saying. It was like, I saw symbolically just hanging, like it wasn't, it didn't land yet. You didn't know it. It was just like there out, but he knew. And he's sorry that he left in that manner. He's sorry that oh God, my guys sometimes, because look at the medium we're using, but he's sorry that he left you hanging. And I had to incorporate what I saw to the language, that he left in a hurry, that you didn't know he was leaving in that manner. And he's sorry that he left you hanging. And I literally, and that, now I see his feet, which is weird. I'm seeing feet. And he's saying, I don't require you to see me every night in your dreams. If I weren't there, it would be okay. And if I disconnected for a little while, it doesn't mean I won't come back. But if you want me to come, I'll continue coming. So, okay, I'm gonna try. And like I said, everybody, I will give you till 8 o'clock tonight. We'll just be on the phone one-on-one. We won't be on this chat anymore, or chat. We're on Zoom. 845-537-1279. And I'm going to ask our moderator to give us a unmute. Someone said to me, their father died 6 years ago, and Sue Ellen. No, that's through Ann. Like I said, I'm not in I'll go to here then. Okay. When you text, you've got to give me a name here so I can make it quick. This is a question from somebody named Gail.
I got her.
All right, so, and now I got 4 from somebody else. Is she at peace? Okay. I'm gonna take Gail after I take, excuse me, Cassandra, because she really needs to know if Taylor is okay. I'm sorry, I just did that. We're gonna go to her. There's a Cassandra.
Let
Hello.
me see if I can find Cassandra. I'm not seeing a Cassandra. Cassandra, if you're here, please send me your message so I know it's you.
Also, there's a Kathleen.
Okay, here's Cassandra coming in.
There we go. There we go. Hello? Hello? No.
She's unmuted, but it doesn't sound like we're getting anything.
So I'll leave it up to you. There's Kathleen.
Gail is unmuted too.
All right, Gail.
Hi.
Hi, you had more of a, that why I went to I skipped over till later was you had more of a question about reincarnation and that, and it being a personal, what was I going to say? Choice. And I think that I wouldn't argue what you believe and what I believe. When you say personal choice, so if you didn't reincarnate and you died, would you just stay on the astral plane forever and not move on? Would that be what you mean? You wouldn't want to keep going and re-experiencing or, having new experiences?
No, I think I would want to do that. But at the beginning, you mentioned that reincarnation was a choice.
Oh, our choice. No, I'm sorry. Maybe you misunderstood. Yes, of course. The choice is that our higher self, which is really the more sophisticated, not stuck in linear time. It's like the computer mind of our being determines, even though it's our choice, but it's on a higher level, determines what experiences we need. And with that, we reincarnate. So we choose, we make choices.
Okay.
That's the choice, but not to choose whether or not to reincarnate. We ultimately have to have other experiences. It's what experiences. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
We agree. There's 1,000 texts here. There was someone, Kathleen. All right. Danielle. I can leave it up to you. If you see a chat, you can just turn them on and I'll just go. So it might be easier too, because it's 25 people in chat and I have all the messages.
All right, let me get to Alan.
I have like 10 minutes and I'm going to spend 5 with 3 more people and we're not going to, so just randomly.
Hi, I'm here.
Where are you? Alan.
I'm
Hi,
with-
Alan.
It's Alan's my husband.
Okay. And did you text me also? Or
I wrote my dad died almost 6 years ago. Immediately.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you started to say it and then you didn't. And so then I wrote back, can you get back to my question?
Oh, okay. Yeah, we were trying to find you. There's like a ton of people. Hi, Kenny. So your father died, let's see, 6 years ago,
Right.
and you wanted to know if he was still with you?
Well, I saw a bluebird. It arrived on my deck like almost immediately after he died, and it came every single day and it just stood on my deck looking at me. So I was convinced that it was him. And that went on for like about a year. And then I haven't seen that bluebird since then. And I was wondering why not. I found I had such comfort in seeing that bluebird.
What I am believing is that it was definitely a spiritual phenomenon, that you had some visitation, and that he needed to show you that he could come through and reach you. So a lot of the messages that come from spirit, birds are messengers. Even the American Indians will tell you, and they read nature, that birds bring messages, all different types of messages. But the fact that the same bird came through 4, 5, 6, 7 days in a row is very significant. But I don't know where any animal of the wild can continue to do that. It doesn't mean that your father's energy isn't coming through or that he can't come through in spirit. It means that your father's more than the bird. Does that make sense to you?
He's what?
He's more than just that bird.
Yes, and he definitely is.
Bigger than that bird. So that bird was like his calling card.
Right.
And it was significant. And it was significant enough to show you that he's there. But after a certain amount of time, it was no longer required that the bird continue to do that. We can have different opinions. I don't believe your father was the bird, but I believe the bird was acting as a messenger, working with spirit, being given to show you. And so your father still, I'm trying to, I started to get an impression of your father, but the only way I saw him was on a reclining chair. I just saw him there. So it was, I think, to me, passive. Like he's there, but he's more passive. He's observing, if that makes sense.
Yeah. But I was hoping he would show up again because now I have a grandson and my grandson loves looking at the birds and saying tweet, tweet. And I was just hoping so much.
I see a yellow bird, and I know yellow birds are not common.
I saw a yellow bird about a week ago.
Yes, and they're saying to me, and I'm sorry for pointing, excuse me, but they're saying to me that you felt something and that came out of the blue, and a yellow bird is very rare. And so you got your wish. And I'm just here as a messenger to verify and confirm that. So There you go. So he did.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
When my father died, a crow stayed on the hood of my car for a very long time. Periodically, if I go into here, and I think I can, I didn't realize I could do this. I can go.
I think you
right
can
here.
unmute someone, Cyndee.
What? I can't
I think you can, yeah.
say. Sorry, guys. Let's see. I'm going to go. I think I pretty much answered that same question, though, because the crow and the messenger, there isn't really a question except that you see things. Well, the universe is so powerful that messages can come in many different ways, but it's how we're communicating with it. So it's not to say that, for a cardinal, many people. I know someone that was heartbroken that said to me one time when they came to see me, my sister got the cardinal, but I never did. That doesn't mean that your mother isn't trying to come through or hasn't been watching over you, but for whatever reason, that's just how, the energy's lined up. But that doesn't mean that we can get, so fixated on those certain things where I almost see, like the spirit sitting in the chair watching everybody go, look, they're out there looking out the window for a bird when I'm sitting right here. The energy of the universe is huge. It's mind-boggling. That's why I said in my office, I will literally start doing a reading and the light will turn on and turn off. And I'll go, it's okay, don't worry about it. Or a pillow will actually fall off the couch. And it's just that they're letting us know that they're making the space ready to open it up for them to come through. The message, that's a beautiful gift when the universe cooperates and all those energies cooperate. And that's why I have to say to her, that yellow bird is very rare. And that's something that was a message for you, and the spirit is connected to it. So you're saying when I stay overnight in an old place, ghosts sometimes come to me and I'm frozen with fear. They do not have good energy. How do I clear the room? All right, I'll answer this one. We started with spooky inundated with fear, and we're going to wrap it up. So once again, if you texted me, I want to send you a bottle of my Third Eye blend, and it's 845-537-1279. And my website is psychiccyndee.com. It's the same as the invitation.com. And there's a Facebook page, which is also Psychic Cyndee. You can like that, and then you'll know where I'm doing more of these. And this book is also on Kindle, if you can see it. So that's another thing. So anyway, how do we clear a room? How do we, and once again, I will be available when we go off here, and I will be available for, you know, some more channeling till 8 o'clock. So, and I'll be, you know, taking the calls, and there's a tremendous amount of messages. Although doing that, I think that some people decided to go to, you know, I'll talk to you later, and that was that. How do I clear the room? Well, first of all, there are different stages of ghosts and spirits. So is the fear something that you're projecting into the room, or is there a reason to be concerned? First thing I do, I work with sacred geometry, and I use they're called clearing codes. They're crystalline. I could probably show you a picture, but I won't have time to get them. And I clear the grid. So there's a way to literally clear a space if you have to. But, thank you. But sage, you can use sage. There's something even more powerful than sage that I think, it's an incense. And it comes in this red brick, and you pummel it, and it turns into a powder. So you need the little charcoal briquettes. So when the briquettes get real fiery, you know, as if you start to see them cooking, you just take a little bit of the power and it makes a smoke. Dragon's blood will clear anything. I mean, sage is great, and sage clears, you know, you clear a space with sage. But if you're really encountering something that you're not comfortable with, the dragon's blood is an absolutely helps. You also, if you're in a space and it's dark and you're feeling, you know, there's bad energy, open all the windows and bring the fresh air in and clear the space. Whether you can turn on certain music, and the concept is vibrational toning. There's sounding, you know, you've heard of sound baths where people, you know, use vibration and frequency, and you can use healing tones. And if you vibrate that sound in that space, it's going to clear the lower frequencies. So there's a lot of different things. I wouldn't entertain them. Now, I don't know, we have 4 minutes. I have a lot of that on my website too, at psychiccyndee.com. There's a few more questions. I can try to answer one more. 5 years ago, hello, Jean. 5 years ago, my sister died suddenly. Is she at peace? Is she, I'm so sorry. Is she?
And you just mentioned dragon's blood, and she always felt that a dragon was her spirit guide.
Or felt like, okay, something's making that little bit of a segue. And I feel like crying. I feel her energy. She's so sweet, feisty, but sweet. Did she dangle a lot of jewelry, or did she have things that I feel like when I'm looking at her, I'm seeing, like, how do you put it? It's just hanging.
She always had dragons around her, you know, like hanging in the car, or crystals hanging in the car.
Hanging, crystals hanging. I see things hanging around her. And she's saying, I'm perfectly fine.
Oh, good.
I'm perfectly fine. I wish I could write back to you. It's kind of funny, right? But I wish I could write back to you. Does anybody journal, or do they write? Is there anything in writing about her? I don't know why she put it that way, but she said, I wish I could write back to you.
I
There's-
do, I do write, and I do write plays.
Oh, you see, she's saying, and I wish I could write back to you as she
Right.
watches you writing.
Mhm.
She wants to write. So she's showing me that she's with you and
Good.
that she's
Thank you.
watching over you and that she's not leaving you.
Thank
and
you.
that she
Thank you.
wants to reconnect. Someone said, thanks for answering my question. We have less than 2 minutes, and I don't know if that means it's programmed to just go off or where we're at. I want to thank everyone for joining us. Hopefully in a few months, and it's just me saying that, not the library, but hopefully in a few months, we can be back together in person. We can do the 2 hours, pick up different topic channel, otherwise I also do remote events like this. And I also do private, like group parties where a family of 4 people wants to do a Zoom party and, things of that nature. I've just started to book outdoor parties. I don't go to houses anymore. I don't do indoor events. I'm doing outdoor circles, so I know it's about time to go. Blessings to everyone. I will get to the text. I will get to your text and I'll try to continue as much as I can. It's 845-537-1279. And I will, should I announce the winner now or just text them? I guess I can just text them, right? All right.
Yeah.
All righty. So thank you, Jonathan. Jonathan has been here with the library, doing all the technical, and he's wonderful to work with. So thank you very much for all your help and for having me. And I will say goodbye. As I say, I'm going to continue reading some of these chats, but
Thank you, Cyndee, and thank you, everyone.
namaste. Will all the chats go now when you go off?
Yes,
They're okay. So let me, if you have a minute.
sure.
I don't know. I feel like there's, how you feel like somebody, you just want to send them a hug or something and they're hanging there. You see 'em. But, well, a lot of it. Oh, well, I don't think I'm gonna, they'll text. I said the number enough times, right? If you're still on and I didn't get to the chat, send me a text. We'll see what, we'll try to get to you. So, all righty.
Okay.
God bless.